Hey folks, everything new under the sun. There is information coming out left, right, and center. Things are certainly escalating. The news is just incredible. It's unbelievable the stuff that is coming out about Russia, Ukraine, the U.S. Basically, we're in de facto World War III. NATO against Russia. Russia knows it. NATO knows it. It's just the public that don't know it. And I'll read an interesting quote further on in this particular article from Zero Hedge, but it's interesting. And I bring this up for a reason. Special Forces Insider, the CIA is directing sabotage attacks in Russian territory. So the CIA is directly involved in sabotage on Russian soil. CIA has been using a European NATO country's intelligence services, whomever that might be. And I wonder who attacked Nord Stream. By the way, that was a particular NATO country's intelligence services and special ops team. But to conduct sabotage attacks inside Russia since the February invasion of Ukraine. Says the report said no U.S. personnel are on the ground, but that the operations are being directed by the CIA. The U.S. is using an ally's intelligence services to add an extra layer of plausible deniability, and it suggests that that's why Biden signed off on whatever this was the CIA presented to him. You know, if this is true, obviously. So active sabotage, interference, covert operatives in Russia, being led apparently by U.S. intelligence agency folks. They're known as sleeper cells. A former U.S. special operations official and U.S. person briefed on campaign said that the CIA didn't get involved with NATO's country's operations inside Russia until 2014. The first time sleeper cells entered Russia that were directed by both the CIA and NATO allies spy service was in 2016, and more entered the country in following years. So they have sleeper cells there. By the way, if U.S. / NATO has sleeper cells, covert operatives in Russia, know that Russia also has sleeper cells, covert operatives in United States, in Britain, in Canada, in NATO nations. That's what you got to be aware of. It goes on in here. It's not clear how many attacks the sleeper cells have been responsible for, but there have been and listen to this, and this is going to be interesting because I'm going to relate this to the U.S., of course, and consider this a comment on the U.S. It's not clear how many attacks the sleeper cells have been responsible for, but there has been a series of mysterious explosions at U.S. military facilities, U.S. power plants, maybe U.S. railways. I'm just putting that out there. Has there been any talk of some sabotage going on with power plants in the United States? Does Russia have, or Russia's allies, maybe Chinese, whoever it may be, North Korean folks have some spies, sleeper cells in the U.S. who are doing some damage? It goes on here. Indeed, and this is about the Russian government knowing who is sponsoring these attacks, who's responsible for it. It says, indeed, the Russian government knows perfectly well who is sponsoring these sabotage strikes. If you were doing it and the country had no idea who it was, that wouldn't fulfill any purpose other than to annoy them. What you want to do is be a terrorist in the country. Let them know full well who you are so that they don't want to play any games with you effectively. It says, moreover, the intelligence community wants them to know. They want Moscow. They don't want Putin to know exactly what's happening and who's doing it. And listen to this. This is the big part for you and I. The only party left in the dark is the public. The only people left in the dark are you and I, the Russian citizens, the plebeians, the regular folk who are just trying to make a day's wages, just trying to live in peace and safety. We're the only ones that are left in the dark, and you got to ask, how many things is the government keeping us in the dark about? How long was the delay of the information about the pandemic and all the information relating to that, and the potential treatments for it? that news is coming out now, left, right, and center about the various treatments. The government keeps you in the dark because they have their own motives. The only party left in the dark is the public, left unaware of the shadow war taking place behind the scenes. Is there a shadow war? Yeah, NATO's been at war with Russia since the beginning of the Ukrainian conflict. Now, I just pulled up this Substation Sabotage. This is on DuckDuckGo. I happen to use that instead of Google, although I'm not recommending it because I don't think it's any safer. But 4 power stations vandalized in Washington State. 14,000 lost power. That was 2 days ago. 1 day ago. This is from Linwood Times. Again, the same 4. Christmas Day. Moore County Substation Sabotage update. Wednesday, December 7th. That was the 7th. Another Christmas Day sabotage news article. 3 power substations attacked in Washington State. That's again, I think that's 3 of the 4, of course. Let's see. December 7th. This is from the December 7th outage. 35,000 customers in North Carolina without power after substation sabotage. Interesting, isn't it? All this information about substation sabotage and 4 in Washington State. Are these just tree huggers? Are these just stop oil folks? Is this, Iran? Is it some other enemy of the state or domestic terrorists? Are these revolutionaries in the U.S.? Nobody knows. And it could be anybody. That's the truth. But one thing is for sure, this is not a coincidence. 4 substations attacked just a couple days ago. I think it was Christmas Day, I guess it was, that happened. That's not a coincidence. 4 substations vandalized. Something's happening here. Well, what's happening in Russia right now? Well, there's sabotage. There's covert operations. There's cyber bombs being planted. It speaks here to cyber bombs somewhere. There's mysterious explosions and fires and sabotage at power plants and troubles at railways since the invasion. Oh, by the way, Nord Stream was blown up. Who did that? And the Crimean Bridge was taken out. Who did that? Now, we're for the Crimean Bridge, I think it's fairly well known that it was Ukrainian intelligence. Their services did that. That's just a truck bomb. But look at this. According to Washington Post, there's planting of cyber weapons in Russia's infrastructure, the digital equivalent of bombs that could be detonated if the United States found itself in an escalating exchange with Moscow. Now, again, I'll flip this the other way. This is common knowledge, apparently. This is coming out in your heads. Russia knows this. They may not be able to find these cyber weapons in their infrastructure, or maybe they can. Regardless, you know that they have planned and are planning and have already implemented the same on our side in North America, in Britain, in European and NATO countries. Digital cyber weapons that can be detonated when they feel like NATO is overwhelming Russia. So it goes both ways. Anything that you see U.S. doing or NATO doing, Russia's doing the same. They have probably planned for longer, for this conflict for longer, and probably have more of this sort of thing happening. And there's a huge war budget in Russia as well. So, yes, anything you hear that U.S. is doing, certainly Russia is doing it. And anybody who thinks that these substations attacks are just a complete coincidence or anything other, to me it doesn't make sense that they're anything other than Russia or Russian allied nations at this point. Because why? Because they have to start coming after us for things that we've already been doing in Russia with all the explosions happening. So eyes wide open, folks. Watch this stuff. This is why you need to be prepared for power outages, because it's not only hurricanes, but we're in the middle of World War III right now. There are cyber attacks, sabotage happening in the United States. We will soon start hearing about them in Canada. I have no doubt, and certainly the effects will cause trouble in Canada and all NATO nations as well. There's rolling blackouts in the U.S. There's rolling blackouts across Europe. That's coming to a town or city near you. And it's not all just the weather. It's not all just the cold weather that's happening. Part of this is going to be, and they're going to disguise it as much as they can, but part of this is going to be part of the World War III, NATO versus Russia and the Eastern countries, effectively, that we are at war with as we speak right now. Russia and NATO know it. The only people that don't know it are the public at large, left unaware of the shadow war taking place behind the scenes.